Sometimes the most important part of these videos is getting the right thumbnail. There it is.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. So I've been working on putting the frets in my 57-58 Stratocaster here, and I was going to make sort of a how-to video on how to go about doing this, but getting into it, I realized that it's probably not my place to be teaching how to refret a 57 Stratocaster neck because I am only a mere amateur and I've got a lot to learn. But I know some people wanted to see it and were expecting it, so instead this is kind of a video on how I went about it and more of a condensed version because I had like an hour's worth of video and it was ridiculous. So kind of what brought me to do this is I saw a lot of comments on the part one of this of folks saying, wow, you know, that looked easy and I want to do that to my guitar. Because I hammered the frets out, the side of the fret, and they did come out super easy without issue. But that was the easy part, at least for me, and everything else that comes after that is actually where things get complicated. So this turned out to be a little bit harder than I hoped. So I'll go ahead and show you guys exactly how I got this done, and maybe there's some bit of information in there that can help you along the way. All right, so we've got our neck here, and I've done a little bit of the prep work to get ready for this video, but an easy way to do this by hand is this StewMac tool. It's a fret slot depth tool. So it has different radiuses and some kind of marks to gauge how deep your fret slot is. So you can put the tool in the fret slot, then you can take a look and see how deep the slot is. So if the fret is not deep enough, you can take your fret saw and approach the fret slot. So I've gone and checked each fret slot and made sure the depths are correct, but I'm still going to check each one as I go when I'm putting these frets in. What I like to do is start at the end here. We need to cut our fret wire to size. I use these Jescar fret cutters. You can take a look here and see how big your fret needs to be. You want to leave a little bit on each side. Start up here at the 21st fret. And I'm going to use a combination of using a fret hammer to hammer the fret in, as well as using my press over here, which I will show you. So I'm going to try to put this fret in without glue and see how it goes, if it feels tight. I think what ultimately I will do is take some super thin super glue and essentially wick that down the side of the tang into the fret slots after they've already been placed. So we've got our over radiused fret in the 21st fret, and I'm going to take my fret hammer, go ahead and hammer the sides and then get the center of it just a little bit. And now we're going to come over here to the fret press. This is a 7 1/4 radius cowl. Essentially all you do is line this up and you will feel it seem to sit very nicely. And you could feel whenever it pressed into the wood. So at this point, that's what it looks like. We've got a little overhang on each side so we can cut the fret off. So this is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and move to the next one. Probably should use this side of the hammer. You really don't need this metal side to get this thing to seat. And then come here again, line that up, press it in with the 7 1/4 radius. All right, now we've got 2 frets in. All right, so we're back here and I've got all the frets in, mostly went in just fine. You take this tool, and now that we've got all the frets in, we can go down the entire fretboard and see if there's any frets that are sticking out. So I think we're looking good, but I do not necessarily trust myself that I got these in perfectly. And so I'm going to take the advice of my friend Joel. What he said is to get to this point and then take some super thin StewMac, in this case
super glue. Just wick the glue right on the end of that tang, and then gravity will just bring that glue into the fret slot. All right, so we are moving right along here. All the frets are in the slots. We've glued them in place, and we've made sure we have got them as level as possible with our fret rocker here. So at this point, it's time to nip the fret ends. So I am cutting these as close to the fretboard as I can, but I am cutting them at a 90-degree angle because I want to leave as much room on the edge of the fret as I can for playability, and apply equal pressure from each side, because if you twist one way or the other, it can really cause some problems that we don't want to get into. So let me show you how to get the ends of the frets here. Now they make fret files that are designed to go across the board and have an angled file on the side to cut across the frets. But what I found is they pretty much typically make those in like 35-degree angles. And so with this tool, it's just a generic flat file, so you could use this as a sanding beam potentially. What I use it for is to go down the frets at whatever angle I want to, in this case about 90 degrees, make sure it's done right. I'm gonna get this finished up, mount it on the body, and we'll go from there. So we have put Sharpie marks on all the frets so that when we do sand the tops of them, we will be able to see what was high and what was low. So basically, you pick a string, you get this block underneath the strings like so, and now you can level the frets, and you will quickly start to see the material coming off. Up here towards the top of the fretboard, it is taking off a little bit more material. Sort of here in the center of the board, there's one fret here that it didn't quite touch. Might do just a couple more passes. I need to hit this very edge over here and then work on this side over here. Also, you really should not leave your pickups in the guitar when doing this. 4 or 5 passes there on the high E. We're looking okay. We have a couple areas here in the center of the neck. So because I am a mere amateur at all of this, I did just remove the piece that raises the action here, which is kind of one nice thing about this kind of understring setup, but you can still get an idea of, do you have any problem areas on the fretboard? And so with this method, what I like is that I can easily have everything strung up, ready to go, just tune it to pitch, see if this is buzzing or fretting out. And you hear a little bit of buzz maybe on a note. Still a little buzz here up in that area, which I don't like. I'm gonna focus just a little bit more on the low E side, and then I'm gonna call it a day.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Maybe it helped you in some way, but really, I just want to say at the end here that, the problem that I had was just some buzzing on the fretboard, because really, I don't have any fret out going on. I can do whole step and a half bends to no issue, but, there might be an area where there's a slight buzz going on or whatever. It also depends on how hard you pick the note, how hard you push down, how high the action is at the nut and at the saddles. And me personally, I like to keep the action a little lower at the nut because it's just quicker for me to do like those kind of fast runs, But then raising the action here gives me a little bit more clarity with chords and kind of the open stuff that I like to do. So that's kind of how I set up my guitars. I mean, the higher you go at the nut, it does make it more difficult to play, but it can sound a little clearer. So it's just something you have to kind of figure out. There's a give and take there, and sometimes you have to sacrifice playability for a better sound, or the other way around. So that's just the way that I do it. Another thing that ended up helping me quite a bit with getting the right playability out of this guitar was, throughout this process, you need to make sure that the neck is straight. And so, when you're leveling, when you're putting the frets in and all that, good stuff. So whenever I strung it back together, the neck was super straight, and there was no relief in the neck. And so I do have a little bit of relief in my 59 Strat, and I don't know the science behind it, but having a little bit of relief, it does make the guitar play a little bit easier. And so it was playing super stiff until I put a little bit of relief in it, and now it's feeling more like a Stratocaster to me. I was able to get rid of most of that kind of annoying fret buzz that goes on by leveling mostly from the D string to the E string, and that's where most of the problem was. And so from what I understand, these older maple necks, you know, they kind of twist a certain way a little bit, and I think it's just a property of Fender necks. They kind of have a little bit of twist when you get the string tension on, and so you'll see me in the video kind of leveling this side of the board, and that's where I've seen most of these issues on these guitars. So, you know, I'm still learning and still trying to get better, and, you know, maybe you guys could pick up a detail on how I set them up, or, you know, how I try to get the most playability out of the guitars. But I just had received a few comments that people were looking forward to seeing how these frets go in, so I realized that I have to show it whether I think I did very well or not. But I think it's pretty much done for me, and I am going to be doing a final video of this guitar coming very soon. We can hear it. It does sound incredible. I'm still just trying to, you know, work out some of the final details with how it plays, how it sounds. Once you bolt on a guitar and string it up, it does take a little bit of time for everything to become acclimated, and, you know, you got to retighten some things here and there before it's really dialed in, ready to be played and shown on this channel. Thank you guys for watching today. It means so much to me. If you dig this video, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. That means everything to me, and I appreciate you guys here. If you haven't checked out my live videos in the studio, please check those out as well. That would be very cool of you. So I will see you guys later, okay? Peace.